Hi, everyone. It's Ricky here, the executive director and co-founder of the Next Step programs, and I am here today with Nicole. She is one of our board members. She also has her own business that she can explain for a little bit more about. So do you want to explain your kind of own business that you do, Nicole?
I am a motivational speaker and equal rights advocate for the LGBTQ community, as well as people with disabilities. I'm on the state board for developmental disabilities, and I'm fighting for our rights.
Awesome. So today we are here specifically to talk about voting. The election's coming up, and there's a lot of chatter around the importance of getting out there and voting, but then also the importance of individuals with disabilities to go out there and vote, which brings up a couple of different um, areas of concern or contention. And so I just wanted to explain a little bit, kind of more of a little bit of the background before I asked Nicole a few questions, and then Nicole gives us a little bit of her thoughts and opinions on the matter. So voting, as we kind of all know, being in a democracy is arguably one of the most important rights that we can do. Having an influence on the political officials that have direct influence that affect our lives, the laws and the regulations that affect how we live. And as we've seen through history, that can drastically change, but then it can drastically impact who you are as a human being, such as how women used to not be able to vote, and now they have a right to be able to vote, and their voices are heard. Laws can change, and they should change, but it's also important that we go out there and vote because we can help to create that change. Now, more in the context of individuals with disabilities, unfortunately, there are many states within the United States that have disenfranchisement provisions that prohibit individuals with disabilities, and more importantly, or more specifically rather, individuals with intellectual disabilities from voting. And that's not right, because of what we just said, is that political decisions directly impact the way that we live. And so if they're directly impacting the way that individuals with disabilities live, they should be able to have a voice and an input on the laws and regulations that are out there, and the political officials that are determining how people can live and what regulations are governing them. Now, with that all being said, within the literature and within the research, and it's a point of contention that we need to continue on with this research and really delve into, is that it's sort of unknown how many individuals with disabilities, adults who are of voting age, actually go out and vote. And it's also pretty uncertain how individuals with disabilities are getting educated on the importance of voting and the process of voting. And so that's kind of why we're here, is because we want to shed light on the importance of educating individuals with disabilities to vote. And it's something that we as an organization will talk a lot more about. But right now, we just wanted to grab one of our board members, ask her a few questions, and get her thoughts and opinions on the matter. So, Nicole, let's get to it. So the first thing that I want to ask you is, when did you personally, whether it be within school or on your own time, when did you learn about the importance of voting and why you should vote?
I learned about voting by learning for myself.
Okay.
I took a women's studies class.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the background and the history of voting, and being a woman and being marginalized as just being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
We don't take that, we shouldn't take that for granted, because we couldn't vote
Mm-hmm.
back in the centuries. And we have amazing leaders back then to help us fight and restore our voting rights
Mm-hmm.
as human beings. And for people with disabilities back then, we had institutions and we couldn't have any rights. for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
We were marginalized since forever,
Mm-hmm.
and voting is really important because our life is at stake, and we want change, and we want a democracy that works and love us, and it's one of her legal rights to vote.
I think that's super important. And just going back really quick to the part where you said that you had to educate yourself on the importance of voting. Obviously, you took a class or whatever, but were you ever taught in school about the importance of voting, especially as an individual with a disability, or like the process of voting, or like did someone explicitly um, educate you on those processes?
Myself,
You
Amelia
yeah,
Ann
so yourself,
Hart.
but no like specific person within, let's say, the school system might have taught you, or outside of the school system in some sort of like transition based program or whatnot.
TV, the candidates,
Okay, yeah. So
the political.
oh, sorry. I think that's just super important to shed light on, that you had to teach yourself to do that, or you learned through media, which is great, but there might be individuals with disabilities maybe that need more of that direct instruction to understand that process of voting, and they might not be able to learn it on their own. And so that's a problem that we need to change, bring awareness to that and to change those practices. So going now into, and you kind of talked about this a little bit already, and so just if you want to shed a little bit more light on it, but why is it important to vote, especially as an individual with a disability? Why do you think, Nicole, it's important to vote?
We need someone who cares about disability rights and who is a leader to take us more in the future with our rights as human beings and disabilities and love us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree. And you talked about this at the very beginning as well. Is that in the past, people with disabilities didn't have these rights, and it's more important now than ever that individuals with disabilities, now that they have the right to be able to go out and vote, yes, maybe we need to do a little more education, but that they go out there and have their voices be heard, because not that long ago, to be honest, it wasn't a right. But then, even like I said previously, there are a lot of states that have some provisions against it, and we need to start changing some of these policies. And like you said, voting the officials into office that will advocate for individuals with disabilities and the rights that protect them. So the last question I have for you, Nicole, is why do you think it's important then for people who support individuals with disabilities, so like myself, to then also go out there and vote?
Go and vote because we need allies. We need people who care about us.
Mm-hmm.
And what and we're brothers and sisters, and we are in a marginalized community that needs your support more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want our rights taken away.
Yeah.
We don't want we just need people who just goes into the heart for us. Either way, it's time to vote, and it's time to take action. It's time to really make a change, and let our allies come together, and not just people with disabilities, but we need people to stand up for us.
Yes. I couldn't have said it any better, Nicole. And I think to I would love to leave it on that note. I think that's a great message to put out there. And I want to challenge people that are watching this to really look at the no matter what party that you identify with, to really look at the policies, the action plans that these people have for the rights of people with individuals with disabilities, and what their plans are to progress that when you're trying to decide who you want to vote for. Thanks, everyone. Go out and vote.
Vote.